You do a lot of talking before this? Good evening and welcome to Theatre of Dreams on World is One News. My name is Yash Jha. We find ourselves in such a puzzlingly great scenario. You think we've seen everything at this World Cup, yet everything that will dominate the history books is yet to be seen. It hasn't been 4 weeks since the greatest single sport extravaganza began in Russia. We are down to the final 4 teams. The semi-finals kick off in under an hour's time with France locking horns with Belgium at St. Petersburg. Our experts, former English footballer Ashley Westwood and Indian football star Eugeneson Lyngdoh, are ready to witness the latest and last chapters in this extraordinary World Cup. Gentlemen, thank you as ever for your time. This is when the boys get separated from the men, Ashley?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the business end of the tournament is what they say. You know, this is where all your nerves will come out. Obviously, the big players need to perform, and I think that's what it'll come down to. That every team is well capable of getting through this semi-final. You know, it's tough to call. It's a flick of a coin, as they say. And I just think whoever of the big players turn up, your De Bruyne's, your Hazard's, your Lukaku's, on the flip side, your Mbappe's, your Griezmann's, you know, that's the first one we're talking about. If whoever dominates and performs to the best will go through, because each team has got a match-winning player.
So much to think of as a player, Eugene. You're imagining the stakes, you're imagining what's on the line. But are the best players those who decide to keep everything out of the head and just go out and take it as a normal match if they can?
Yeah, this is where, you know, there's a difference between a normal player and a really good player who can really change the outcome of a game. And as a player, you obviously look forward to these kind of matches. You live for these kind of matches. When you never know when you'll play a semi-final or a potential World Cup final. You never know when. So just grabbing the opportunity, doing your best, a test of character, ability, and nerves as well.
Yes, we've seen a lot of that already. 60 matches with a recurring theme of madness, a word Ashley has chosen to use a few times over the last few weeks. And it's all brought us to this point. It's already been some time since we said goodbye to the usual suspects. No Germany, no Argentina, no Spain. Then in the quarterfinals out went Brazil. And here we are on semi-final 1 at St. Petersburg. France against Belgium in what we're calling a generation-defining clash to decide who goes through to the biggest contest in world football, the World Cup final. If ever history didn't amount to anything in a contest, it is now. Only 2 players each from both camps were alive when France and Belgium last met at the World Cup. None of those 4 players were aged more than 15 months old. Ashley Westwood, the past doesn't make a difference here. Both teams with several stars earmarked to be greats, if not already, then certainly in the future, and fighting for the biggest present in the present.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's not many times you get an opportunity to play in a World Cup semi-final, never mind the final that's one step away. You know, it's a case of who can handle the pressure, who can turn up, you know, and give it their all. And at the end of the day, they've got a real chance to make history and make a name for themselves, if they're not already big names now. So it's going to be interesting to see, because like we've mentioned previously, everyone has a game changer. Everyone's got the capabilities of winning this game. You know, you couldn't pick a winner. There's so much between them. Even looking back at the clips, then what's got them the first goals in the quarter-finals was one was a corner and one was a wide free kick. So it's such small margins. It can be anything that settles this game.
Margins, yes, Eugene. That word tends to come up so often. We'll obviously talk about campaigns and tactics and all specifics, but it really does become about seizing a moment as a player right now in this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you win, you lose, but, you know, like I've said earlier, a World Cup semi-finals, how often do you play one? Once in 4 years? And how often would you get a chance to play it again? So, I mean, it's an opportunity, a great opportunity for each and every player to live in the moment, perform at the best, and potentially proceed to the finals.
Yes, and while all 46 will have a telling role in that in some capacity, the 22, the starting 11s are decided. Let's take a look at the team starting with Belgium, where there are some changes in the setup. Thomas Meunier, the first choice right back, is suspended. Instead, Moussa Dembele gets his first game of the tournament. Ashley, one change in personnel, but a few changes in setup, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to call. I mean, we're trying to guess the lineup, really. Obviously, Meunier is suspended, so an enforced change. Dembele coming to a little bit of stick earlier on. Hopefully, you know, he's not going to be affected by that. But I think Roberto Martinez has been quite flexible. this is his preferred system, the 3-4-3. You know, it wouldn't surprise us if he changes it and goes to a back four and possibly played Chadley at right back. But what we do know is obviously the 11. We know that they've got lots of firepower up front, whichever combination they play with De Bruyne, Lukaku, Hazard. They've obviously got Fellaini that can pitch in on set pieces, as well as Kompany, Vertonghen. So it's a strong outfit, and even Courtois has been in fine form. So we're expecting a good show from Belgium, but we're a little bit, you know, guessing on what they're going to be. This is the starting lineup, but what formation we can't wait to see.
Eugene, are you expecting De Bruyne to be deployed in a false nine the way he was against Brazil to such great effect in that first half?
I feel it would depend on how France is set up, so potentially he could be doing that.
All right, let's also take a look at the French lineup. One change for them as well from their quarter-final starting 11. Blaise Matuidi comes back from suspension into the team for Corentin Tolisso, who in turn is suspended for this game. Actually, that one's more or less on expected lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Matuidi that comes in for Tolisso, like you mentioned. He has a little bit of flexibility, which sometimes he sits Kante a little bit deeper, and Pogba can go a little bit forward, so you play like a 4-3 through Matuidi. But that's what they did last time. Kante and Pogba protecting, Griezmann freed up in the hole to be the number 10, and obviously they're desperate for Mbappe to rekindle that form he showed against Brazil. Didn't quite do it last game, but he's certainly got capabilities and a fantastic prospect.
I'll get you to speak about the intricacies in just a bit, Ashley, but for the moment we're being joined from the ground. Brussels is brimming with anticipation as Belgium contests only its second ever World Cup semi-final, and I'm joined by Jack Parrock, who I can tell from the sound behind you, Jack, you seem to be in the place to be in Brussels at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, it's very loud here. The party is getting started. I'm on Place Pinoy in Brussels, in the Brussels suburbs, where they're having a huge gathering. They've been gathering here every match for the World Cup. To watch it on the screen behind me, the screen doesn't look that big, I think, in our shot, but it is a pretty big screen, and the people are here to party. They have high hopes for this Belgian team. They're covered in the Belgian flags and faces painted, hoping that their team can beat their nearest neighbours, France. France is a country that often looks down on Belgium in many aspects, including their footballing talent. But it's argued here that the Belgian team have the quality and the desire to go on and win this match. On Friday, when they beat Brazil, it was a gorgeous, balmy summer's evening. It's a bit damper, a little bit colder here tonight, but the spirits are in no way dampened and the expectations aren't either.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that comparison with the neighborhood nation who you go up against. Are some of those fans behind you, Jack, annoyed by the fact that a lot of the bookmakers seem to have France down as favourites for this contest?
I couldn't hear your question too clearly, but I think what you were asking about is whether there are any people in French strips here in the crowd, and there are a couple, perhaps bravely, here to watch this match. They are nearest neighbours and they are good friends on many aspects as well. But the competition will be absolutely on a knife edge. I think many people are expecting this to be one of the matches of the tournaments, and perhaps to be one of the matches that really decides who wins this. England and Croatia on the other side of the draw in the other semi-final perhaps don't have quite the expectations on them to go as far. The Belgian current squad is considered here to be the golden generation. Around 15 years ago, huge amounts of money was pushed into the Belgian system. There was a lot of effort put into school football to try and increase the ability and to make those young players believe that they could go far. And really what you're seeing at this competition is the reaping of the rewards of that effort. The question is, will this Belgian team, will Romelu Lukaku be able to have a better game perhaps than he had in the 2-1 win against Brazil? Will Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalkeeper, be the hero of the night again? Will this match be so tight that it goes to extra time and penalties, perhaps even? We'll have to wait and see. It was so tense here on Friday night, and the tension is building ahead of this game against France again.
Yes, we did enjoy that report you sent out after the end of that Brazil quarter-final, Jack. Can't blame you at all for not being able to hear me. I can barely hear you given all the noise behind you. Go out there, Jack. Have a great time watching this game in Brussels, and we look forward to seeing what the reaction is like in Brussels and as indeed all over Belgium once the contest is done. Thank you so much, Jack Parrock, for your inputs from Brussels. Actually, you look at that. This is what a World Cup semi-final does. It's a pretty small country. It's something Nasser Chadli brought up in one of his pre-match comments, that we're only a very small country compared to France, but winning against Brazil, coming so far in a tournament, it does wonders to a nation and its mood.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, everybody, you know, brings the country together. Everyone comes out in force and watches it.